What made God?
Every atheist I know, and I've done this many times, I give proof of God's existence to a professing atheist, and he defaults to this question: who made God? God is without the dimension of time. He has no beginning and no end. Space has no beginning and no end.
And why can't we say the universe is just that?
Well, we all know who that little hobbit is, don't we?
Hold this, Kirk. Behold the atheist's nightmare. Now, if you study a well-made banana, you'll find on the far side there are 3 ridges. On the close side, 2 ridges. If you get your hand ready to grip a banana, you'll find on the far side there are 3 grooves, on the close side 2 grooves. The banana and the hand are perfectly made one for the other. You'll find the maker of the banana, Almighty God, has made it with a non-slip surface. It has outward indicators of inward contents: green, too early; yellow, just right; black, too late.
Yeah, it's Ray Comfort, aka the Banana Boy. Now, if it was me, and you'll have to tell me down in the comments what you would do, but if that was me and I had been humiliated like that, after that fiasco, I would have changed my name, got extensive plastic surgery, and moved to a country where nobody knew who I was. Because he doesn't seem to know that the banana was actually made by man, the modern banana that we have. Just so cringy and embarrassing. But no, he's at a college campus, and he is telling atheists the proof for God. That's what he's doing. And then this young man asks, but where did God come from? And he goes absolutely apeshit on this kid. Let's watch the rest of it.
What made God?
Every atheist I know, and I've done this many times, I give proof of God's existence to a professing atheist, and he defaults to this question: who made God? God is without the dimension of time. He has no beginning and no end. Space has no beginning and no end.
And why can't we say the universe is just that?
Because of the second law of thermodynamics. You know that. Everything runs down. If the universe was trillions of years old, it would have turned to dust. It hasn't, because of the second law of thermodynamics. So
well, we think there might be more of a big crunch type thing where eventually dark energy kind of goes back on itself. And
where did that come from?
I don't know.
You don't know. So at least
again, where did God come from?
No beginning and no end, without the dimension of time. You and I have to wait for time to pass, okay? 1 o'clock's coming in 3 hours. We have to wait for it because we're subject to the dimension of time. God created time, and he himself isn't in the dimension. He passes through time as you and I flick through the pages of history book. And you can see it by just studying the Bible and realizing that God knew the future before it came into being.
Do you see why I called him a hobbit, standing on that box with his knee socks? He looks like he's about 5'2". Now, if you're short, don't get offended, because I love my short kings. The first boyfriend I ever had, what was I, 14 or something? He was short. He's only 5'5", 5'4", 5'5", and I'm a little one myself. I'm a little bitty one myself. So it's not that. It's just couldn't he have got a stool to sit on or something that looked a little more elegant instead of standing on the box? But anyway, he looks ridiculous and he sounds ridiculous. But did you notice how calm the young man sounded? Did you notice that? And whoever is the calmest wins. I mean, just flat out. He's so angry and upset. So he just looks like a screaming little hobbit on top of his box. But here's a couple of things that stuck out to me. First of all, he tries to act like he knows what the second law of thermodynamics is. And if he did, he would know that. And listen, I am someone who you should not take a physics course from, but even I know that only applies to a closed system. That's only a closed system. The universe is not considered a closed system, but I would assume something like a God would be. The Bible indicates that God, he walked around with Adam and Eve. It seems like him and the angels are definitely in bodies of some kind, closed system. So I think they would be actually more in line with calling them subject to the second law of thermodynamics. So I wish that young man would have pushed back on that a little bit. But of course, this comes from a Christian website. This clip does. So maybe he did and they cut that out. I don't know. The other thing is, I want you to notice how humble this young man is. Do you see how humble he is? He's able to say, I don't know. That's something that Christians, especially someone like Ray Comfort, they don't seem to be able to say those three little words. Not I love you, because you know I do love you. I'm talking about I don't know. Why can't y'all say that? What's so hard about saying I don't know? I enjoyed how humble he was. And then when Ray said, God knows the future, and he knew the future before it was going to happen. When? Where? Where in the Bible? Where do we see that God knows the future before it happens? I don't see any evidence of that. I don't see any evidence of that at all. So those are just the points I, saw in that. But anyway, Ray Comfort's always good for a laugh. All right, let's go on to our next clip.
The Big Bang Theory says that from a little swirling dot, something exploded.
You're already wrong, Mr. Preacher Man. That is not what the Big Bang says.
This is one of my new favorite people to follow. This is Dr. Dakotah Tyler. He's an astrophysicist out of UCLA, and he is going to debunk this very convincing but very big liar Christian pastor. Of course, he's a big showman, so, people are going to believe the lies. Why do Christians lie? I keep asking that over and over again, and I don't know that Dr. Tyler knows either. Okay, let's give it a watch.
The Big Bang Theory says that from a little swirling dot, something exploded.
You're already wrong, Mr. Preacher Man. That is not what the Big Bang says. All the Big Bang says is that the universe used to be small and hot and has been expanding ever since. Doesn't say anything about a swirling explosion. The Big Bang is not an explosion. It never was an explosion.
Something exploded and then created the solar system.
Wrong again, brother. The Big Bang is something that happened 13.8 billion years ago. Our solar system forms around 4.5 billion years ago. So there's 10 billion years between the Big Bang and the formation of the solar system. The observational evidence for the Big Bang is overwhelming. Things that we can see.
Right? But space has no gravity. Right? So if the dot is swirling, right, and something exploded, that means everything else in the solar system should be spinning in the same direction.
Space has no gravity. What do you mean? To say that is an indication that you don't know what either of those words mean. Objects that are massive have gravity. Objects that are massive are in space. Gravity only exists in space. There's nowhere else that gravity exists. Now to the question of the formation of our solar system. That was a swirling disk. It's not a dot. This is an enormous disk. As the solar system forms, everything does continue orbiting in that same direction. If everything starts orbiting in one direction, then all the planets should finish orbiting in one direction. He brought up a good point there. I will give him that. And would you believe me if I told you that every planet in the solar system does orbit in the same direction? That's exactly what you would expect, and that's exactly what we see. The sun rotates in that direction. All of the planets orbit in the same direction, and all of the planets even spin in the same direction, with one exception, Venus.
Some spinning right, some spinning left. How do you explain that from a swirling dot with no gravity? God created.
The congregation went nuts. I mean, he really knows his audience. I did think the swoosh was cool.
Of course he knows his audience. Of course he does. He knows they're gullible. He knows if they will believe anything he says if he's convincing enough. They think he's smarter than them. They think he's more educated. He's looked into this stuff. He knows. I know, because I used to think that about my pastors. I thought they knew more than I did. I trusted them. You build a rapport with them, especially if they're a good showmanship, if they can tell a good story, right? So, of course, this is what he can do. He can get people to believe almost any line of bullshit he puts out there. So, yeah, he knows his audience.
You wanted further evidence that solar systems form this way. Again, this has nothing to do with the Big Bang. We actually take images of solar systems out in the galaxy that are currently forming. Young stars that would be at the center in these enormous disks of dust and gas that are swirling around them. Here's the thing. There were many things that he said that are just blatantly false, but There is no solid scientific answer for what started or created the Big Bang, or whether that's a cycle that the universe goes through. And there's nothing wrong with that, bro. It's like, if you don't know something, that's okay. You try to find the answer. But pretending that you know things and then just straight up lying and saying things that are untrue, I have to question why. What is it about your belief in something that requires you to ignore things that are demonstrably true?
Yes, 1,000 times yes. Why do Christians lie to keep their beliefs? Why do they lie? Now we know why this guy's lying, right? The money. Yes, all the money and the power that goes with it. It's a power trip. It's I think that there's so many pastors out there. They're like frustrated Broadway actors. And so not everyone can be on Broadway. Very few people can be, but they can put on their live show. And if they're really good, they will pack in thousands and thousands of people every single week and make a fortune doing it. Now, I think the bigger question would be not why he would lie. Again, we know money and power, but why do people keep believing it? Why do they believe it? In this age of information, the fact that we have people that are so uneducated, so brainless, and so lazy that they can't check out this stuff is amazing to me. And it's scary. It's actually scary if you want to know the truth. You know, it might have been something 100 or 200 years ago when the best you could do is maybe get an encyclopedia and try and figure it out yourself. But the lies, the Christian lies, they kill me. But here's what's not a lie. You know, I love you. I just adore you guys. You're so smart. All of you, I feel like 90% of you are smarter than I am. So I love your comments. I try and read every one of them. So go down into the comments right now and tell me what you think about this, because I love reading them. And give me a thumbs up while you're doing it, because that helps. And if you want to join my channel to help me defray my costs, that would be great. I've told you guys before, atheist channels, we don't make any money. We just don't, because who wants to sponsor us? What company wants to sponsor us? If you watch a lot of atheist channels, you'll see that very few of them have any sponsors. Maybe Alex O'Connor. You know, the rest of us, we don't get many sponsorships because no one wants to be, they don't want to be in bed with us, so to speak. So if you want to help me out, that's great. You'll get some perks along with that. And so anyway, you guys have a great week, and I'll see you next time.